Hi everyone, nice to be with you today. I'm going to be doing a little tutorial on how to paint clouds. So let me show you the materials first. So I have watercolor paper, and if you notice it's got a little bit, this particular paper has got a little bit of tooth to it. Here's the thickness. It's about 140 pound. And it's somewhat smooth. It's a cold press paper. You'd want a cold press paper and not a hot press paper if you were playing around with this, because a hot press paper has just got a really smooth surface. Here's another paper, watercolor paper, that has a little bit more tooth. This is double-sided, so you can work on either side, but you can see the texture of the paper. It is called the tooth of the paper, and it's just got a rough, kind of a rougher surface, and this helps to capture interesting brush strokes, whereas the smooth side is much more flowy. So it really depends. Oh, there goes the plow. It really depends on what you're after. And we can do a couple of demos here with both the rough and the smooth. So why don't I get started with the rough? So I'm going to make my space. I'm going to open up my space here. And you can go to our collections page, farnsworthmuseum.org, and go to the collections, and then Google, and then on the collection page, search for clouds, and in the search box, and you'll get images of just gorgeous images of all these clouds, different paintings of clouds. So I want to encourage you to do that to get some inspiration. But the thing that we're going to do with this is just going to make a really low horizon line here. And you know, horizon lines are not always straight. I know you know that. At least not around usually. If you're looking out at the ocean, yes, there's a long, straight horizon line. And if you have a high enough perspective, you'll see that horizon line actually curves at the very end. If you really look hard, you can see kind of that curve of the horizon line. But anyway, so I'm going to put some like a horizon line down here with some mountains and maybe the Camden Hills, just to give myself a little bottom on this picture. And then up here, I'm just going to make some kind of puffy marks. And the thing that you want to remember when you're painting or looking at clouds is that clouds always have a bottom. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. They're always catching light from some direction, usually from above or from the side. But at sunset or dawn, you're getting clouds with light that is just coming in kind of straight at the edge. And sometimes it can come in from underneath, of course, with the light shining up. So if the sun is down here, the light's going to shine up. So this is something to take into account, that the light is going to affect how your clouds look. So we're going to just do some kind of big puffy areas up here for clouds. And I'm just, I'm really just scribbling, okay? Very light, just to give me some borders. And I'm thinking about, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about where the bottom of those clouds might be. So I'm going to give myself a little bottom to the clouds. All right. So now, what else do I have here on my table? I've got a number of different blues, and I'm not endorsing any one paint over another. So I use all kinds of paints. I've got Van Gogh and I've got Reeves. And remember, it's not the paint, it's not the brushes, it's what you see, okay? Of course, having good tools can help, but it's often that I often get really good results using my student kit, so with my little pancake watercolors. So, and we can start with that too. So anyway, I'm going to put out a Van Gogh blue. What is this called? Ultramarine Deep. If I can open it. Nope, that's not going to open. All right, I'm going to use this blue, which is Savoir-Faire Ultramarine Blue. So it's a watercolor and a gouache. So it's not a high-end watercolor, but it's a nice blue. And then I'm going to put out some of this lake blue, which is also really a cerulean blue. So you see those are two very different blues. Here you go. If I can hold this up, you can see how different they are. So one's a very deep, cool blue, and this one's a very warmer blue. Okay, and I'm going to put out some purple too, some violet over here. All right. So I don't use black at all in any of my in any painting, because black tends to dull everything down. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to wash this over with clear water. Just going to wash this over, not everywhere, but just kind of around, just up in the clouds, just kind of back and forth, so you can kind of see where where it's shiny. So I haven't done it everywhere. I haven't put the water everywhere. And then I'm going to come over here, and this is a big brush. I'm going to come over here to my blue and mix up some and just kind of drop it in. I'm going to drop it in and let it kind of mush around. Now, clouds can be white. They can be other colors too. So that's what I'm kind of going for. And I'm going to just drop the paint in here. So I've got the sky. And now you're starting to sense that maybe some of this white is also possibly cloud. So the white of the paper can work for you. So now I'm going to go back in with my handy dandy sponge. I didn't mention this, but this is a piece of just a household sponge, kitchen sponge. And I'm going to be lifting off some of the paint. I'm not going to scrub, I'm just going to lift. So I'm going to blot. And now you're starting to see, and I'm going to turn my sponge around because I'm seeing little patterns that the sponge is making. All right. So now you're seeing some kind of cloudy-ish looking sky area. Okay. So let's come in and do, let's come in and do some more with our flat brush. So we got a flat brush here. This other brush was called a Phillips. It's got like a rounded head. It's almost like a little bit more of a moppy brush. And I'm going to wet my brush. And then I'm going to go for like a violet over here. And maybe throw some cerulean into that. So I'm getting this blue violet, which is a really nice color. That's quite nice. And I'm going to come in down here and just go sideways with my brush. And I'm going to start to lay in the bottom of some of these clouds. And really use, this is something that comes with practice, but use the images in the collection. Go and look and search for those cloud images, because you'll start to see how the artists see. And that's what you want to go for. How do they see? All right, so we're going to come back in here and soften some of those edges with our sponge. And you want to pre-wet the sponge. So you're getting a sense that you're just letting the sponge pick up some of the paint. You don't want to rub, because that'll upset your paper. Okay, we're going to come back in and we're going to lay in a little bit more kind of undertone to the clouds. So this is starting to look more cloudy, cloud-like kind of, maybe more stormy kind of cloud-like, or after the storm. And you want to soften up the edges. So this is just playing around too. You know, this don't have any expectations that you're gonna make a great cloud painting right away. Although yes, you can. But let yourself just play. I mean, that's the idea, right? To just kind of play and let it happen. So I'm seeing I've got a lot of repeat of my images. My sponge is making a pattern, so I want to turn my sponge around so I'm not getting a lot of, all right, not getting, so there you see you've got this dark edge of the bottom of the cloud. You're starting to feel like there might be a cloud there, like cloud's sitting on something. It's shadow, right? So I'm going to come back in and put a little more, and that might be too dark. But again, with watercolor, you can go in and lighten things up. All right, so I'm just going to come in, fix things a little bit. That might be too dark, like I said, but we can also lighten it up. And you can lighten up on your touch too with your brush. You can just barely pull some of that paint down on the paper. So I'm not pushing very hard. And this is dry brush, what I'm doing now, because there's not much water in the brush, so it's called dry brush. And you can pull some of that shadow up into the bottom of your cloud. There you go. All right, and soften some of that edge. There you go. Okay, that's starting to look a little better. All right, and then we can go back and get some more water. Okay, and soften it up. So that's a really quick tutorial on how to do clouds. Now, if you wanted to come back in with your marker, so I've got a semi-permanent marker here. Pigment ink, it's not necessary, but you can come back down in here and start to put in, you know, little bits of skyline or a lake or a town or trees, maybe a hill, maybe a road going up the hill. So it's not like you have to do it all in watercolor, right? Okay, well, I think that does it for me. Thanks so much for your attention, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great afternoon and have some fun playing with your paints. Bye for now.